Okay, we're going to get started now. How's everybody doing today? Our webinar host today is a living legend that needs no introduction. If you don't closely follow what's happening in the legal world, you may recognize him as an author for the biggest magazine in the biz, Attorney at Law Magazine, or from his many clients on Oprah, Dr. Phil, NBC News, ABC News, Major League Baseball, and National Geographic. He's helped his clients make over $20 million and counting. Today, you'll be learning some incredible insights that will help you take your legal practice to another level quickly and easily. Please give a nice warm welcome to my special guest, Mr. Frankie Finn.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. That was like the world's greatest introduction. Can you guys just type yes in the chat box if you can see me or see my screen and hear me? There should be a very hilarious billboard from a divorce attorney. It says, "Ever argue with a woman?" Okay, good. You guys can hear me. Okay, so I've got some really amazing information that is going to help you guys tremendously. Many lawyers have told me this is the best hour they've ever spent. So we're going to go through this pretty quickly because I know you're busy. Your time is valuable. I've never met a lawyer who has an abundance of time. So let me show you how this can help you. Firstly, I want to ask you a really important question. One of the most important questions anybody's ever asked you that is not going to seem very important on the surface. So when a commercial comes on TV, do you listen to it or do you mentally tune it out? And when you get a new email from the latest SEO spammer, do you stop and read it or do you immediately delete it? Yeah, there's no shortage of those, that's for sure. When you hear a radio ad, do you stop and listen to it? Well, of course you don't, right? I mean, nobody really listens to advertising these days. And this is really, really bad news. And let me tell you why, because our clients are the exact same way. In fact, let me show you how this presentation will help you. What most people don't realize is most clients are completely conditioned to ignore every single word of lawyer advertising. And so most lawyers greatly underestimate, like massively underestimate, just how hard it is to even get a client to call you from an advertisement in this day and age. And so let me tell you exactly now why this is so important, because it probably does not seem like it on the surface. It's probably not seeming like a big deal, but if you don't solve this problem, what it means for you is leftovers. What I mean is leftover cases and leftover clients. So some other lawyer who has mastered advertising and marketing in your area is going to get all the best clients and cases, and you're going to be forced to deal with leftovers if you don't solve this. And so here's why this is really bad news. Lawyers who have advertisements that get leftovers are forced to deal with what I call the awful three. And most of them, very few of them, ever realize that this is actually an advertising problem. That is, firstly, bad clients, lower paying cases, and more hours worked on those cases. So have you ever actually had this experience where you either had a bad client, it's really frustrating, or a case that doesn't pay a lot, or a case that just has massive amounts of work involved that it ends up not being worth it? I see everybody pretty much typing yes who hasn't. Well, what most lawyers don't realize, believe it or not, those are actually advertising problems because you're getting leftovers. So this happens even in really, really big law practices. So if you're saying, I'm successful and we have 20 associates or 30 or 50 or whatever the number is, and, chances are you still may be playing second fiddle to some other bigger practice who has, better mastered the marketing part of the business. So here's why you need to fix this problem, why this is so critical. If you master getting clients and cases, you get first choice of everything. So which means at a minimum, you're going to make double the money, you're going to work half the hours, and you're going to have better clients and cases. So, just imagine that, like a higher paying case, the client is actually more respectful, and it's easier for you to fulfill the work. So, what kind of difference would more money, more free time, and better cases mean for you and your law practice? So I'm going to show you the first success secret that I learned is that the most successful lawyers also had the most successful marketing. It was impossible to have one without the other because really only 50% of the business is servicing a client. If you don't have the ability to get them the right client in the door in the first place, then you're always going to struggle with these bad clients, long hours worked, and simply not earning enough money. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you the 6 steps so you can achieve this today and fix all these problems. You'll be able to walk out of here actually knowing how your clients think, and what you need to say to them so that you can make such an appealing thing in a very honest and ethical way where they just choose you naturally as the preeminent lawyer in your area. So who is this for? Well, if you're spending any money at all on advertising, whether that's the high end, I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars every month, or the low end, you just got a few things, maybe a website, this presentation is a must for you because I'm going to show you how to improve those immediately without increasing your cost. Or if you have other people who depend on you for your paycheck, I mean, that is huge stress that, if you got a growing practice, that's huge. Or if you just want to make more money and have more free time in the process. So if you found yourself saying, yes, if it's possible to make double the money in half the hours for better clients, I'm interested. It doesn't really matter whether that whole thing appeals to you, even if you just want the money or the free time or the better clients. Either way, you're going to want to listen to this. So the only warning I have for you, there's a big catch. There's a nuance, like a caveat to this, and that is, for any of this to work, you have to actually care about your clients. It has to matter to you that they get what they really want. So this is going to be about providing the best possible client experience, not just about ripping people off. So if you're heartless, you're all about the money, even if it hurts people, you want to close this webinar and leave immediately. I'm not saying that can't work. Clearly it does work for some people. This presentation won't be for you because that's just not, I wouldn't be the person for you. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to shamelessly bribe you to stay till the end. I've got a step-by-step template to help you implement the strategies used by the top lawyers in the country to fix these problems in effortless fashion. But I'm only going to reveal the link at the end of the presentation. I'm doing that just to shamelessly bribe you to keep you guys today. So let me quickly just show you everything you're going to discover today and how it's going to help you. You'll be able to have complete freedom. The lawyers I learned this from do all kinds of awesome things. One guy golfs every day. Another guy takes exotic vacations to like African safaris for like 3 weeks at a time. Or, another guy goes to the movies in the middle of the day. So most lawyers or people who own a practice couldn't imagine going to the movies in the middle of the day. But I'm going to show you how that's possible today. I'm going to show you a very advanced strategy so you never struggle with getting new clients ever again. You'll double your money. You'll spend less time at the office, and you'll have, more importantly, better, more compliant clients, which means you can actually make a bigger difference, which is probably why you became a lawyer in the first place. And you'll have the freedom to hire people, so which means, when you have steady, predictable cases and clients, you can hire people, you can hire more associates, so you can do as little or as much as you want. It's really up to you. But you get to choose your clients and cases. And most attorneys, even in big practices, never get that experience because they're always dealing with leftovers, so they have to take what comes their way. But if you automatically create a surplus, what happens is the opposite. If you have 10 cases come to you and you can only take 2, you get to choose the 2 that are the most meaningful to you. So you'll save time, money, and of course loads of frustration. You'll never have a deadbeat client again. You'll replace them with happy, respectful clients that you actually enjoy working with, and then you can have free time to do whatever you really enjoy. And of course, this process also works to get associates and paralegals and superstar team members in your practice who are basically going to handle your cases like a rock star for you if you want to go that route. So you'll discover how to own a legal business. You should already have a legal business, but it's very different than being a lawyer. If you see yourself as a lawyer, I'm going to show you the difference between the two. I'll show you 6 secrets. You'll never have to worry about the competition again. Of course, you can sell your practice when you decide you've had enough for real equity. Most attorneys have practices that aren't really worth anything because they don't have steady, predictable clients and cases. So if this sounds interesting to you, you're going to want to watch this full presentation in its entirety while you still can. And, what kind of difference would it make for you if you could have the most big, meaningful cases and you have a process where other superstars handle those cases for you? So I won't quite show you this. This is like Cuban drug lord lifestyle, this giant pile of money. I could never, ever really promise you that. But I will show you the next best thing, which is to make good money and actually enjoy it and help people. So first, though, just a minute, you're gonna discover this whole 6-step system, but I have to show you 7 myths because most attorneys have ideas. Even people who have big practices have ideas that actually prevent them from experiencing these benefits. So let me tell you how I discovered this because I think it will help you kind of understand why it actually works. I'm going to give you the entire success system, but basically, I'm kind of known as the guy who's made over $20 million for my clients on Oprah, Dr. Phil, NBC News, and a bunch of cool places. But, the truth is, I wasn't always that kind of guy. This story's really embarrassing. I almost had to leave out the worst part. It's that bad. But I couldn't look my girlfriend in the eye. I just felt like the world's biggest loser. I let down my family. Just shame, regret, embarrassment. I mean, I can't even tell you. It was awful. Just really awful. And I had tried to take out $100 from the bank machine, and it declined my card. And I had no hope for a new client tomorrow. I was an emotional wreck because that was, I couldn't feed my family, and I just really had no way of doing that. So no matter how hard I tried, I was honest. I provided good service, but it was always a struggle. And I could really only get the bottom of the barrel clients, just enough. I never really got ahead financially. And I was almost ready to give up my dreams and just give up on making life work. I was really at rock bottom when I had this life-changing thought. With, what if I just found other successful lawyers and ask them how they did it, right? Instead of trying to invent the wheel. So I spent the next several years interviewing top attorneys who had actually achieved mega success. And so it's not like it was this sudden light bulb. It took years to learn it. But today I have my choice of clients. I work short hours. My family and I travel to wonderful places. And of course, the reason I'm telling you this, because you can have all this too, right? I mean, you can have whatever's more important to you, the freedom, the money, or just working for people that you really feel like you're actually helping them and making a difference. So my family deserve better. I believe yours does too. So I'm really, really passionate that you hear this message in its entirety, because I think it's just going to be tremendously valuable for you. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you the complete secrets, but I wish I could tell you that, that it suddenly clicked. The reality is I spent many years looking for what was the next magic bullet, and that's how most attorneys deal with getting clients. And I want to show you that it's a combination of message and strategy. So it's not the marketing thing, it's how you use the thing. For example, it's a lot of people say I tried PPC and it didn't work, but the better question is, how did you use that? What strategy did you use? What did you say, right? So it's more about the message and strategy than the medium. And so the most successful attorneys showed me it applied to everything. So, whether I was rainmaking in the real world, giving out a brochure, or, running an ad to a website, it was the message and the strategy that ultimately determined the success. So would you like to see the 6-step strategy they used? I'm seeing more yeses. That's good. I'm glad you guys are still with me. I just want to show you really quickly first signs of success. I'll never forget when we started actually getting clients. Our family and I went on a vacation, and there's us with Hutch the Dolphin, and now we get to have all these awesome, fun family adventures. So, now we take as many as 15 trips in a year. We see exotic places, have lots of fun, work for good clients, love what I do. I'll never forget, somebody else actually asked me, said, please, will you show me how to do this? And it completely freaked me out, because I told them no. And they actually begged me. They said, please, just show me. And it was really, really strange to have somebody beg me, because I never actually thought I would, be showing anybody. So I want you to, the reason I'm telling you this, I'm known as this marketing expert. I write for Attorney at Law magazine. That's probably how you may know me, from interviewing, some of these top attorneys. But the truth is, I only got into this because I just never wanted my family to have to suffer again. They deserve better. So what I want you to understand is, if you haven't been able to really break through, you're feeling stuck in your practice, even if you own a big practice, what I want you to realize is not your fault. There's this giant, huge lie holding us back, and it's basically because law is the most notoriously closed field I've ever seen, and it's not like other lawyers will just tell you what they did to be successful. So it's not like you can call up the other lawyer across town who's doing better than you and say, hey, what's your success secret? Nobody's going to tell you, right? So it's really hard to figure it out. And then you have these slimy ad salesmen pushing, SEO or the latest gimmick. It's going to solve all your problems. And that whole paradigm is enough just to really confuse anyone. Confused me for years, so don't feel bad. But I can guarantee you that the stuff in this presentation will work for you. Firstly, because it actually came from the seeds of other successful lawyers actually doing it in the real world. So it's not theory or fluff. It's really, really important, because I'm sure you've been through presentations before where they're just kind of theoretical ideas that don't really work in the area of law. So my only part in this, I wish I could take credit for it, is I just organized it into a neat little system. But it took years of interviewing the best of the best. So let me show you the mindsets that prevent you, or prevent most attorneys, rather, from getting there. And I want to know, do you believe any of them? And are you sure? Are any of these ideologies something you believe? So the first myth, I assumed the lawyers who were the most successful were the best lawyers, and that was a big X, because the truth is I found out they were good lawyers, but they totally separated being the best lawyer because they found out it just had this diminishing return. And why was that? Well, mastering the technical aspects of being a lawyer just won't solve these issues. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there's benefits to winning your cases like a rock star, but, it's really about being able to get the clients. So second thing I assume was, they must have a silver spoon, right? They must have went to Harvard, Yale, on and on, these kind of schools. And the truth was most of them had very humble beginnings. It really surprised me, but it inspired me at the same time. One guy had no office for 2 years. Another guy went bankrupt like 7 years into practicing. Another guy he lost his last case to a TV lawyer and was ready to give up. So, many of them had periods of struggle before they learned this. I also assume they work long hours. I've never met a lawyer who doesn't work at least 50 hours a week, and it's usually more like 80 or 100. So I assumed, they must work night and day. And the truth is, the most successful lawyers I met had real freedom. They would go golfing in the middle of the day. They would have these fun family vacation. They would retire from private practice when they had enough, and they were able to do those things. Another big mindset, I'll never forget the one question I've asked every successful lawyer I've ever met: what is the one thing that made the biggest difference? And I expected to hear all these different success philosophies and all kinds of different answers. And it really surprised me that they all said marketing. Every single time I've met somebody who really has success and freedom in their practice, they always say marketing. So once you master getting the best clients, doors are going to open for you. Your competition is going to disappear. It's just, there's so many awesome benefits to having the best marketing. Another thing, I assumed, they would tell me, they're an attorney, and they would say, no, you were in the legal business. I'll never forget, asking, like, well, what's the difference? They would explain, you're creating value for clients. If they don't care how long you work or what you're slaving away doing it. So you must create a competitive advantage as a business. And they worked on creating perceived client value and less on trading their time to do it. We're going to come back to this principle because it allowed them to deliver massive client value, good service, really take care of people, and yet not spend all day at the office doing it. Another myth, I assume the client experience is what we're giving them, but the truth is you probably had this experience. Other than face-to-face meetings, most clients have no idea what attorneys do on their case when they're not watching you. They're not sophisticated legal buyers. In fact, very often, even when you're a great lawyer, the client expectation is off. Really simple example. My girlfriend got divorced 10 years ago, and she didn't know she got billed $20 every time she speak to the secretary. And so she was really bitter at that lawyer. But what she failed to realize, that lawyer handled her case perfectly, took care of all her needs, settled everything. But because her expectation was different, she still hates that lawyer to this day. And so what I want to show you is really that there's ways of preemptively pushing away really bad clients and correctly setting the expectations. Another myth is that success takes a long time. We call this in the industry, I was really shocked to find this, there's actually a name for it. It's called the phenomenon. And it's basically, the sooner you realize you're in the legal business, you take clients, or you take the process of getting clients and keeping them happy as the single most important thing you do, the faster this suddenly takes off. What we find, why we call it the phenomenon, is because often what happens is people struggle for 12 years and then all of a sudden have 12 months that is better than the 12 years before it. So that's the phenomenon. It ultimately means that 50% of your business is the legal marketing business, and most lawyers horribly, as I'm going to show you, neglect it because they don't even understand that clients aren't listening to it even in the first place. So my mentor was the one who showed me. He was named Frank. Also named Frank. I'll never forget, he had a 7-figure practice. He barely worked. He had these amazing clients. He enjoyed every minute of it. He had massive amounts of free time to spend with his family, and really my jaw was on the floor because it wasn't even in my realm of possibility. I'm going to show you Frank's secrets, and my one important question: would you like to know how he did it? Can we finally get to the really awesome good stuff where I show you how to do it? Okay, I'm seeing some yeses. I'm glad you guys are still with me. So what we're really talking about is the 6 steps to rockstar attorney marketing. And what I want to show you is that all of this exists for a very logical reason. It's going to be a predictable system that's going to bring you your choice of clients. And the first problem we're really overcoming is the fact that we know our clients, they just don't watch ads. We don't listen to ads. They don't listen to ads. And so even just getting their attention in advertisement is a much bigger uphill battle than most attorneys realize. I mean, they're probably just scanning your website. They're not even really listening to what you say most of the time. So that's our typical client mindset. So the key problem we're addressing with this first rule is that most attorneys just vastly underestimate how hard it actually is to even just get their attention in an advertisement. And so the key mistake they make is they run ads, and you've probably seen this a billion times, that look like this. It says, lawyer name was here, we're experienced, list areas of practice, and then their contact info. And that's pretty much 99% of all lawyer advertising you're ever going to see, and it is an instant tune out for a typical client. It sounds the same as every other lawyer, looks the same. It falsely makes them believe that we're all the same when we all obviously know nothing could be further from the truth. So it actually has a form, and this is again how 99% of lawyers advertise rather. It has the lawyer or the practice name. Then it lists area of services. We do blank, blank, and blank. Usually a slogan about how we're experienced or we'll fight hard for you. Call us. And then, like I said, even if it's not true, it makes clients believe all lawyers are the same. So there's actually a very strategic way to overcome this. It's firstly, the mistake they're making is that they talk almost entirely about themselves. And unfortunately, clients ignore it the same way we ignore advertisements because they're conditioned to. So what is the solution? And that is, this guy has the answer. I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. Oh my god, that was the worst impression. I'm not even gonna try and redeem that one. But let me show you an example of somebody actually bribing their clients for their attention, understanding that it is not a given that you're going to get their attention. So what he's doing in this case, I blocked out the sensitive information, but he's sending a free book, and it is basically a bribe. Let me send you some free helpful information, and then those words right there, free offers, just to get the client's attention. Let me show you a bad example of somebody doing it. So this is a real attorney website. Obviously, I blocked out the information, but it's totally using the template I said. The law office of so-and-so. We do blank, blank, and blank. We do this. Call us. We serve these areas. That is a perfect example of a website that a client is going to look at and not actually read. So I wanted to show you, this is not just websites. Here's a couple of different advertisements that I found on Google pay-per-click, and obviously I blocked out the sensitive information, but law office of lawyer name. You shouldn't call us, we can help. Lawyer name and lawyer name, call us. We do blank area of practice. Law firm, call us, right? So it's all kind of the same bad example. Now I want to show you a good example. So here's an attorney advertising, and when you get to his website, these are questions a client would respond to. Injured in an area of practice, trouble with disability insurance, injured by a medical professional. And then what happens when you actually click on there is he offers to send you a free book. So this totally gets a client, meets them where they're at. It's not even really about the attorney at all, and doesn't say we're great, call us, we do these areas. Just asks a question, then says, okay, let me bribe you with some free information. So let me ask you, what would have a greater impact if someone was trying to sell you? Imagine someone right now is trying to sell you, somebody like me, and they're saying, I'm a great marketing person, I'm experienced, call me today. Imagine I showed up in your, I don't know, whether that was your inbox or I called you in person or met you at a networking event. Doesn't really matter. Imagine that was my speech to you. I'm a great marketing person, I'm experienced, call me today. Or if I said, can I just send you some free information that will help you with what you're already trying to do? So why does that matter? I mean, which of those would have a greater impact on you? Because it's the same for your best clients, right? They want to see something that's in it for them. They're automatically asking themselves what's in it for themselves. So important question to ask is really, what information would be so valuable to my ideal target clients that they would just be compelled to take me up on my bribe? The answer, believe it or not, is just really information that helps them. You get that in abundance. They're probably already asking you. I mean, you probably hear the same 3 to 5 questions every day you get a new client. So answers to their most common questions would be extremely valuable to them. What are some of the myths they believe? What are some of the mistakes they should avoid? How can they make their type of case easier on themselves? Like, what can they do to make the process more seamless? I mean, how does your type of case work legally? Do you see how these are like important questions that clients would be actually wondering, and how done right, it's information that can potentially bribe them? So let me show you some examples of actually this information turned into bribes. And I just made these up off the top of my head, but 7 things you need to know about, I should have the word about there, about closing real estate in New York. Do you see how that's better than saying law offices of Steinberg and Sons, we do real estate, call us today, we're experienced? Or how does a personal injury case work in California? Or how about this? 6 mistakes most clients make when filing for Social Security disability. Or the 5 most commonly asked questions about divorce. Do you see how clients would find relevant information infinitely more intriguing than how most attorneys, they kind of just brag about themselves and do it actually generally very poorly? Do you see how a client would be much more interested in getting answers to their questions than just reading about, an attorney bio, for example? So here's the objection I hear all the time, which is if I give my clients free information, they'll have nothing left to hire me for. You may be thinking that exact same thing. And in reality, the exact opposite happens. People don't want to be their own lawyer. At least, 95% of people don't want to be their own lawyer. They just want to be informed enough to make a good choice they feel comfortable with. So, of course, to cover your base with the ethics board, always make sure, that you can't legally give advice. But I want to show you good bribes come in many forms. So it's not really the format. It's really what you're saying is that you're bribing them with helpful information. It can come in the form of books and guides. It can come in the form of DVDs. It can be online videos, etc., articles, blog posts, etc. But the key benefit is that really doing it this way, bribing them because we know they're not listening, creates high perceived expertise. Because ultimately, you will get involved in educating them. So let me show you what the next step is. I hear this from attorneys all the time. I have no time. How am I supposed to do all this stuff? So key problem is how do you get more time in your practice? And this is really, really interesting here because the solution is probably not what most people think it is, and it's really automating bribes. Something we marketing nerds call one-to-many selling, and the way it works is it's really the ultimate liberator because when you can talk to a bunch of clients at once in a single video, book, or article, you suddenly have that time to influence dozens of them at once. So like this video is a perfect example, right? I'm influencing a whole crowd of you guys at once, but there's only one me and I'm able to speak to, hundreds of you guys at once. So it's just a small time investment up front for you to create it. The only hard part, and where most attorneys get this horribly wrong, is your automated whatever you give away, whether that's a book or a video or whatever, it must be compelling by itself because, people aren't just going to read it just because, so it has to be compelling. So what we're really talking about in marketing speak is something we call an opt-in or a landing page. And there's 3 really big shortcuts on this, which is you want to create a tool that just automatically gives away your bribes for you. So for creating really beautiful landing pages, there's 2 services I recommend, one called leadpages.net or another called Unbounce. They run about $37 to $49 a month, and they build these pages for you. Or, of course, you can hire a designer to make one custom if you have somebody on your team who can do that. But the other part you're going to need is something called an autoresponder. This is for automatically giving away your bribe. And the 3 I recommend are Aweber and GetResponse if you're just starting. They run about $19 a month, and Infusionsoft, if you've got a higher end practice and you need more sophistication, runs about $200 a month to start with. And let me show you an example landing page. This is one I made in Lead Pages. It took me about 3 or 4 minutes. And you can get really elegant looking, classy landing page made pretty quickly. So just imagine all you're doing by using this strategy is you're just giving away good, helpful information. And your best clients are attracted to you like bees to honey because you're just giving them answers to questions they already have anyway, and you're automating the process. So right about now you may be thinking, okay, that sounds good, but how do I actually get people to my landing page or website? And one of the key problems is most attorneys believe that's where they should start. They should start getting people to their website. But actually, because clients are conditioned to ignore it and they're not saying anything meaningful, they're actually likely to be ignored. So the key problem is without actual clients looking at your bribe, it's really kind of, tree falling in the forest. It doesn't really do you anything, right? So what is the solution? Well, it's really something we marketing nerds refer to as traffic, which is getting people to, your website or wherever you're giving your bribe away. And contrary to popular belief, traffic is actually dog shit easy to get. Excuse my language, but it's totally true. Traffic is actually the easiest part of this whole thing. So why am I saying that? I imagine there's some confused looks right now. Well, let me ask you, do you have a credit card? No, you don't have to give it to me right now. But right now, if you have a credit card, you can go to Google, you can go to Yahoo or Bing, you can go to Facebook, or you can even go to the post office, and they'll send you people. You can get traffic. it's really this easy. Just show up and say, "Shut up and take my money," and they'll send you people. But the real problem is that when most people do this, what happens is it doesn't pay for itself. They spend money on getting traffic, but it doesn't convert into clients. So there's really two parts of converting traffic, and that is firstly having a compelling message, and the second is targeting the right clients in the first place. So believe it or not, we've already actually solved the compelling message, because the very act of creating a bribe and knowing our clients are conditioned to ignore advertising means we already took into account what our ideal clients want and need. And so we've set it up to say something meaningful and valuable to them by just bribing them for their attention. So how do we target our best clients? The ones that are actually the most likely to hire us, pay us lots of money for our services. How do we actually get them to our website? Or wherever we're giving away our bribe in say in the real world. So there's a really secret principle in this. Imagine for a minute you sell shoes. So you're Al Bundy for a minute. You scored 4 touchdowns in one game for Pokai. Let me ask you, if you're selling shoes, who would you rather target to buy shoes from you? Someone like me, I own one pair of shoes. I don't really care much about brands. I buy a new pair every 6 to 12 months. That's it. Or would you rather sell to this lady? I actually know somebody like that. Of course, the answer is this lady, right? So let me ask you another question. Imagine you own a pro shop on a golf course. Who would you rather target? Person who golfs once every few years. They have a couple beers with their friends. Or this guy who's got every gadget and gimmick. He's pouring liquor out of his club. I don't know if you guys can see that. Or this guy who can't even, go to the bathroom without needing to work on a short game. Well, obviously, it's somebody like this. The answer is really obvious, but why is that second person more ideal than the first? The reason is because they are a buyer. When you think about this, they behave like a buyer. So what is important to realize is not all clients are created equal. And did you know that it actually costs a lot less money to reach only ideal buyers, and it works infinitely better than trying to reach everyone? So what we're really talking about is buyers' traffic. If you run ads on Google, to illustrate this, which of these is more likely to attract, better buyers, better clients for you? So say you do personal injury, you have the keyword lawyer. I see personal injury attorneys advertising on that keyword all the time. Or personal injury attorney Atlanta, especially if you're, of course, in Atlanta. Well, obviously it's the latter, but why is that? Well, this person, is much more evolved in the buying cycle. They know what they want, right? So imagine you're a real estate lawyer. You're going to do what most attorneys do when they run Facebook ads, which is targeting clients in your Facebook area who just happen to share your geography, or someone who's listed their home on the market and actually liked a local realtor's Facebook page. Well, obviously it's the latter. So the number one reason most attorneys fail with getting clients in any form of internet advertising specifically, more often than not, is they often target people who could never have become their client in the first place, and they spend a lot of money to get these bad leads. So if you actually think of the Facebook example right here, if you just target people in your geography, that includes people who are renting, people who are never going to buy a home, people who have lived in their home 10 years, have no intention of moving. So most of those people, no matter what message you say to them or how you strategically approach them, there's nothing you can say that would move them on this, because they're just not the right people in the first place. So this principle, it's really important, because even though I'm showing you this in pay-per-click on the internet, it supersedes PPC. It's not just the media. It doesn't matter whether you're doing pay-per-click advertising or you're going to a networking meeting, or whether it's your website or generating referrals, because it's really who you're targeting makes such a big deal. And I was really shocked when I first started interviewing successful lawyers, because I kept thinking the answer was a thing. How do you get all your clients? Is it PPC? Is it AVO? Is it referrals or networking? And I was really surprised that when they understood how to target the right people, they could make all of them work. So I learned that getting clients is always a combination of message and strategy, and that's where 99% of attorneys get it wrong. So if a message worked in Facebook, you could be pretty damn sure it would also work in Google without a lot of tweaking. It would work, if you brought it in the real world to a networking meeting. So I want to show you a bad example of targeting. Okay, I want you to understand, I live in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, which is 5 minutes from Detroit. I'm close enough to hear the bullets without being hit, so if you hear any bullets in the background, that's just Detroit being Detroit. This is an attorney who actually advertised on my Facebook page, advertised to me. Now, they're in Fresno, California, a long, long ways away. So no matter what argument they make, I'm not going to be looking for a real estate attorney in Fresno, California. But on top of that, they use the typical boring message. We are blah, blah, blah. We do blank, blank, and blank. Call us. So not only is it an automatic tune it out, even if I was qualified, the biggest mistake that she's really making, this was a she, is that they have a 0% chance of getting a client if they're not even putting their ad in front of the right people in the first place. And many, many attorneys make this mistake. So flip side of that, I want to show you a good example. Here's a search for a personal injury lawyer. I searched in Los Angeles, and obviously all of these ads are pretty targeted. Now the one I highlighted here is this attorney is bragging about themselves, but they're actually really doing it well because $1 billion won, 5,000 cases won, Harvard educated, 5 stars on Yelp. And then call us with your car accident lawyer. And those specifically why I wanted to show you is those 3 words, car accident lawyer. Because if I've been in a car accident, and chances are I would be if I just searched for a personal injury lawyer in Los Angeles, then they're putting their ad in front of the right people, which means it's ultimately going to make their phone ring. Next thing, this is really, really weird. This is weird client psychology. We all do this. Have you ever noticed that we're conditioned to say no? So actually think about this. Imagine you decide, I'm going to buy a nice watch today. You go out to a fancy jewelry store. You have every intention of buying a watch. You open the door. You're greeted with the salesperson. The salesperson says, hey, can I help you? And what do you say? You say, please, just take all my money. Of course, I'm joking, right? Because you don't say that. What you say is, no thanks, just looking. We're automatically conditioned to say no. And this is a key problem because our clients are the same way. In fact, they're 100% conditioned to say no to hiring us, even when they're a perfect fit for what we offer. And it's important to realize that is 100% completely normal. We all do it. And if you don't account for it, it'll make everything you do so much harder. So imagine you're going to buy a new house. Which of these is true? You open the newspaper or some real estate website, you see a house you like, you immediately call, you drive over, you see the realtor, you sign the agreement, an hour later you bought a house. Or is this scenario more likely true? You gather a lot of information, you compare a bunch of options, you narrow down your options to a few choices, you call to look at a few homes, you go through each of them a few times. After seeing one you like, you wait over a few days and eventually you make an offer on it. Obviously it's the second, right? Most people are much closer to the second. They want all the information before they decide to make a big purchase. And that's very, very typical. Unless, of course, you live next to this guy. I don't know if you can read that. It says house for sale because my neighbor's an asshole. So unless you live next to that guy, maybe you might sign a deal a little faster. But in all seriousness, if you're like most people, you have a process to gather information first. And this is really, really important because most people are going to gather lots of information before they even pick up the phone to talk to you. In fact, I read a stat, 95% of people will not call you the first time they visit your website, and the vast majority of those will not come back. So even with a compelling bribe, they're still not likely to call us from the first interaction. So let me ask you, what is the solution to the fact that we're automatically conditioned to say no and put off making these decisions? Well, that is really something we marketing nerds call a follow-up message, and it's really or a follow-up series, which is really just sending multiple messages in a row. And I've never not seen this increase client response rate 2 to 5 times simply having a follow-up. Have you ever noticed this when bill collectors, when they really want something from you, there's second notice, third notice, etc.? Well, I mean, why do they stop? Why do they keep going after the first notice? And the reason is because following up works. And now, obviously, you can do this in an automated way, but we obviously want to do this in a much more friendly way. I mean, we don't want to harass people and tell us they owe us money. But the principle of it is that following up with people works, which is why I wanted to show you that. So what do you send people in a follow-up? I mean, if you're going to follow up with them and contact them 5-10 times, knowing that it may take that many times before they decide to hire you, what are you going to send them? Well, the principle here is really just be cool. You just want to show up and send more helpful information, which means, again, more of the frequently asked questions. You could break them down individually and go into more detail. You could explain how the legal process works. You could explain what their rights are if that applies. You could tell them some mistakes to avoid. You could tell them myths that many clients believe. You could show them how to make the process easier on themselves, or you could show them, what they need to look for in a lawyer, or you could show them how you're going to help them specifically. or maybe just anything that's really important that they need to know in your type of cases. Any of this stuff is really, really good, helpful information. So, of course, the objection, make sure they know you can't legally give advice. Don't get yourself in trouble. But here's an example of a really good lawyer actually doing this. This is my inbox. 8 common Social Security disability filing mistakes. It gives them a reason to follow up with me. I think this was the 3rd or 4th message in the sequence. And right below this, it just says, hey, if you have more questions, you can reach us by the phone number. Very, very casual, but I know for a fact that this is a tracking phone number and allows them to measure, how much more response they're getting just by following up with people. Oh, and I didn't really have a bad example to show you, by the way, because 99% of attorneys have no follow-up process. So the bad example is trying to sell somebody in one shot, knowing full well that that's not how we as people make decisions, right? So it puts a huge obstacle in the way of clients. Next step is really, this happens after they hire you. And this is a key problem most attorneys never really address head on, don't really think about, but it's most clients can either refer you more business depending on your area of practice and or hire you again, but they don't. So the real question is, why don't they? Why don't, if they could send us more business or they could hire us again, but they don't? Let me illustrate how this works. There was a study done. 72 estate planners were asked how many of them were spending money on marketing, and the answer was 100%. All 72 said, yes, I'm spending money. Then they were asked, how many of you guys are marketing to past clients just to simply ask them if you wanted an update to your estate plan? Answer, not one. So what I'm really talking about here is there's 3 reasons you want to market to your existing or past clients, which most attorneys never do. And that is, firstly, it makes your math work better. If every client who comes through your door refers 2 more, you can go spend more to get a client than your competitors. Like just, for the sake of easy numbers, imagine a client is worth $1,000 to you and your competitors, but you can turn that into 2 referrals. That means that an average client to you is worth $3,000. To that other attorney, it's only really worth 1. So if you spend $1,200 to get a client, you'll make $1,800. They can't possibly compete. So it gives you a huge advantage to outspend everybody to have a sophisticated back end. Second reason, they're actually a lot easier. Statistically, they're 6 times easier to reach, and they're 6 times more likely to say yes since they already like, know, and trust you. So it's really, really easy just to connect with them. Other thing is, nobody else does it. So, that's a huge advantage for you because you'll have this massive advantage over other attorneys. So you must do this for that reason alone. So what is the solution? Well, really, we could talk really about marketing to your past clients for days, but really you should at the very least have a follow-up series or some kind of newsletter to simply keep in touch. And you're going to want to create a system to intentionally generate referrals. Again, that in itself would take days, but you want to be proactive about actually getting referrals without doing it in a begging kind of way, where you kind of make it very natural as part of the process. Last step really is that experts make more money. Key problem is really most clients just see the vast majority of lawyers as really just another lawyer, which is totally unfair, but that's how they see it, instead of seeing them as their top preferred expert. So what is the solution so they see you as their top preferred expert? And it's really just creating expert status. And so how do we go about creating expert status? Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. One of the ways is you can specialize in an area of practice. You can specialize in a type of client, or you can do both. So, the car accident lawyer is a perfect example of specializing in an area of practice. He's probably not going to get a lot of phone calls, but if somebody's been in a car accident, there's a very good chance his phone's going to ring. Type of client, we'll come to that in a minute. And of course, you can also author a book. Nothing creates expert status faster than having a book or getting on TV, especially if you can do it in a news kind of PR way, where you're being interviewed as an expert. Unfortunately, that's a 3-hour presentation in itself, but just know that there's ways you can preemptively do that. So let me show you an example of somebody doing this. Okay, these are dental lawyers. I have no affiliation, don't know them, just look them up. Now imagine if you're getting an advertisement from 2 lawyers and you're a dentist. Okay, one of them says dental lawyers and another says, Joe's practice, we do blank, blank, and blank, we're experienced, call us. Which one are you more likely to automatically give expert status to if you're a dentist? So that's a perfect example of specializing in an area or a type of client. You can also do this in an area of practice, and you can also, use combinations of the two. So what I want to show you now quickly is this is the recap of what we're really doing here. I want to show you this complete system in its entirety, because did you guys see how those 6 pieces fit together? I know that was a lot of stuff. Let me show you what we're really doing. All we're really doing by using these strategies, we're making strangers trust us by giving them value first. We know they have questions. We know they have concerns. So we're giving them helpful stuff before we ask anything in return. And then we're taking away their reasons to say no to us. We know that they need time to think about it. We know, things like that. So we're taking away those reasons gently. That's really all sophisticated marketing is. We're giving value first, and we're taking away their reasons to say no. That's all that's actually happening. So it's not pushy, and it's not salesy, and it's not even dishonest. And the reason I bring that up, one of the things I hear from so many attorneys, I don't want to do marketing. I'm not a salesman. What I want to show you is really just helping people on a greater scale. Like it adds to your mission, not takes away from it. So what you just learned are actually the 6 golden rules of attorney marketing, and they each have a very specific reason for existing. So the first thing is, we know that clients are conditioned to ignore ads. So rather than just presume they're going to read it, which we know is not the case, we made sure to bribe them, to give them a very specific reason why they needed to read this ad. Second thing is, we know that we have no time to sit around handing out bribes and, speaking to clients, so we focused on automating delivery of those bribes. The third thing is, we know that none of this works if clients aren't looking, so we focused on getting traffic, but we focused on a very specific kind of traffic, which is really, who's qualified, who are the buyers, who's the person who can actually pay for this. We also know that most clients automatically say no and put off making buying decisions, so we knew that we were going to have to follow up with them. We knew that it was very unlikely they were going to just say yes in one shot, so we intentionally put a multiple step follow up. By the way, if you follow the second step and put in Aweber or GetResponse or those things, you'll automatically have a follow up series just by using these tools. Fifth thing is, we know that past clients don't send us more business. We know that they should, but in reality, they're busy thinking about the house, the cars, their kids, soccer practice. Why does my shoulder hurt? I didn't sleep enough. Oh, I'm so hungry. That's what they're thinking about in a day-to-day business, not our practice. And since we know that they're not doing that, we intentionally followed up and stimulated referrals and kept in touch because we know how important that is. And we know that most clients think lawyers are all the same, and so we focused on creating expert status. So that is the 6 steps in a nutshell, and what I wanted to show you is that each of these has a very specific reason for existing. And again, it's really just a combination of making strangers trust us by giving them value first and actually helping them, not saying we can help them, but actually helping them. And then, of course, taking away the reasons to say no. So that's really it. Let me explain where this system works. It works in networking meetings. It works for getting referrals. It works for any sort of pay-per-click. It works on Avo. It works in direct mail, handing out business card on your website. It works on the phone. It works, in the newspaper. It doesn't really matter where you're doing it, because the combination of these 6 things and the strategy, knowing that we're going to have to bribe people, knowing that we're going to have to automate it, knowing that we're going to have to focus on the buyers, knowing that we're going to have to follow up, knowing that we're going to have to follow up even after they do business, and knowing that we're going to have to be perceived as an expert before they walk in the door, is just the 6 pieces that we know are going to exist, regardless of whether we're going to a networking meeting or whether we're running, handing out a business card. So, I know that was a lot of stuff. That was a lot of content, but it was a lot to cover. Let's just take a quick minute. Let's recap everything you've learned here, because in order to be the person who gets your choice of clients and cases, and of course all the freedom that comes with that, and the fulfillment of being able to help clients get what they really want, we really need to have these 6 steps in everything we do. We need to bribe them. We need to automate the bribe in giving it away. We need to have targeted buyers looking at it. We need to have a follow-up. We need to have a follow-up and get more business from our past clients and existing clients. And we need to be perceived as an expert in that whole thing. So the reason we created all that, was because we know clients have a lot of reasons to say no to us. We know that they don't listen to ads. And so we did that because we actually want to help and serve our clients. So I want you to compare that. Which of these is going to work better on a client? You show up in their, whether it's a flyer, their inbox, or they're looking at a website, and it says, lawyer name, we do blank, blank, and blank, and it's targeted at anyone and everyone. Or imagine you had a compelling bribe, You placed it only in front of your ideal client. You had a follow-up strategy. You had a back end to encourage more business through referrals or repeat business, and you were perceived as an expert in that whole process. So which attorney is going to have the unfair advantage out of the two? And I'll tell you the answer, just a spoiler alert, is that it's always the second. Always the second one, massively. And this person who implements the system will get all the business, and this person who has lawyer name, we do blank, blank, and blank, will be frustrated with bad cases, bad clients, long hours, and not being paid as much as they deserve. And it's really unfortunate because it's really just a shift in the strategy of who you choose to get in the first place. So as promised, your free gift you can get right now by opening a new tab. You go to lawyerclients.com/gift. And you can download that. And what it is, it's a free one-page template, and it's just a checklist so you can implement these steps really, really easy. You just answer yes or no. It'll grade you out of 100, and based on that, you'll know with empirical data what you need to implement in your practice, and you know which holes to fix quickly and easily. So that's for you. Here's what you need to know. Everything I just taught you, that's enough to build a 7-figure practice where you actually get freedom and fulfillment. I've actually seen lawyers who do this just on the referral part. It's that powerful, but when you combine them, it is really just massive, massive advantage for you. However, the reality is it takes a long time, and there's a lot of trial and error for you to get it right on your own. So what I'd like to offer you right now is a massive shortcut, and really it took 7 years of our family desperately struggling to finally learn this. So I'd like you to just skip all the hard parts, go right to the experience of having your ideal practice and just, you know, enjoying what you do, making a difference and actually helping people. And so the easiest way for you to achieve that is just let us do all the hard work for you. So what I'd like to offer you today is really, it's like a motor. If you're watching this and you're serious, you know, chances are you're already successful on your own, or you're going to be successful if you haven't been. You're going to get there where you're trying to go. But what I want to show you is how to get there a lot faster without all the difficulty. And so for that reason, it's the savvy choice, because it'll allow you to skip a lot of the headaches. So let me tell you why you'd want it. Firstly, obviously, we mentioned more money, better clients, less hours at the office. So we can actually help you double your practice, working half the hours for better clients in as little as 30 days, and have it be zero risk to you. So people using it now, you know, not to brag, but, you know, we have clients on Oprah, Dr. Phil, and all these cool places. You know, it's not some sort of like run-of-the-mill kind of thing. And so the next step, if you're interested, is really just getting a free marketing plan where I show you how to actually implement these rules in your practice. So how the free marketing plan works is it's a phone call where I ask you about 30 questions to help you implement these systems in your practice. What I want you to understand, it's not a sales pitch in disguise. You know, I know speaking to a stranger on the phone can be a little uneasy, you know, worried that, you know, they're just going to hard sell you a bunch of stuff. We could charge $1,000 just for the strategy session. People would happily pay it. However, the reason it's free is because, you know, we know a certain percentage of people who go through this process are going to want our help to actually implement it. Having said that, there's no catch. You're perfectly free to walk away if it's not a fit for you. We'll still be friends. No hard feelings. You can totally go Han Solo. I wouldn't recommend it, but, you know, if that's just kind of how you run your practice, I'd still rather you get the plan. So if you decide that, you know, getting our help to achieve these results is a good fit for you, if you like the plan, you say, you know, I'd rather you guys just do this for me. What we'll do is we'll help you get started on getting this formula in place as fast as possible so you can get, you know, double the money, half the hours for better clients, and do it quickly. You're probably wondering, you know, hey, fancy marketing guy, how much money is it? Understand I could easily charge, you know, $100,000 for it. I'd put it off limits to 95% of attorneys out there and deal with only, you know, basically a lot of large personal injury firms. And if all it did was help you make more money or reduce your hours by half or give you more life freedom or give you better clients, it would totally be worth it. If it just did any of those things individually, it would be really amazing. But I want you to know there's a cause. A few years ago, I set an inspiring goal, and that is I wanted to help 5,000 attorneys get at least 10 good clients each, because I know what it's like to struggle. I just remember how awful and how hard that was. And so what I wanted to do is make our programs really available to any attorney who is serious about making these changes real. And so I want you to understand that's why our programs are priced where they are. They could easily be significantly more. So we have 3 different packages. The first is if you already have a big practice and you need to get bigger faster. We have programs from 10,000 to $250,000. It really just depends on how much you're spending on advertising and how big and how quickly you want to grow, which includes, you know, doing all your PR and getting you guys covered in the news, getting internet leads, doing all the offline stuff, authoring a book and distributing it, automating your referrals, creating systems and phone scripts and processes for handling all your different intakes, and really systemizing your business so that you can handle clients in a really amazing way, but also, in a way where it allows you freedom and space to do what you want. So that's ideal if you have like a big practice, if other people depend on you for your paycheck, and or you're spending a lot of money on advertising as it is. So we'll just basically come in, clean up your advertising, and for the same money you're already spending, make it perform better than it's ever performed. Second program is really, if you just need client and retainer checks quickly, is usually for attorneys that are solo. We have programs that start at $2,000 a month plus the cost of advertising, and what you'll see from that is, some of the stuff we do, especially our internet stuff, is just really fast. You'll see brand new leads in just 48 hours, and ultimately get cases quickly. So that includes the internet leads, referral strategies, and as well as some offline strategies, which we can discuss more during your free assessment. And if you have no money at all and you're willing to work, we have a program we just introduced. And we have a pay only on results model. It's much slower than the other two. Obviously, we have money to advertise. We can do things a lot quicker. But if you're somebody who's struggling, I don't want this to be off limits to you. Obviously this model is a whole lot slower and it's not for everybody, and we don't allow just anybody to qualify for that. But you can find out more about all three of those programs at the end of your free marketing plan and during the free strategy session. So during the consultation at the end of it, if you're interested in how these works, we'll tell you about them. If you're not, then you don't have to hear anything about them. But I just explain this to you so there's no surprises at the end of our discussion. So what it includes in the last one really kind of just depends on your area of practice, because we're only getting paid on the performance, so we do what makes the biggest impact the quickest. So all three plans, what I want you to understand, will guarantee that you'll double your money, or it'll cost you nothing. So either way, it's free to you. So if you pay and it doesn't work, it comes with our unconditional triple guarantee. And the triple guarantee works like this. It's guaranteed to produce an ROI for you or your money back. You'll make money off our services. So if you don't like the services, or you don't like the results, or even if you just don't like me personally or working with me, truthfully, if we couldn't give you these A+ results, I just wouldn't feel like I've earned your business anyway. So you just let me know. We give you a full refund within the first 60 days. There's no question asked. There's no hoops to jump through, no hassles. We'll still be friends. It's not a big deal. I feel like you deserve the best. And, if we can't give that to you, then I totally understand. So everything we come through that we offer comes with our triple guarantee. But understand, we're picky. Naturally, we can't work with everyone. It's supply exceeds demand. And it's just really intensely personal and one-on-one. So it's just not for everybody. We're not claiming it's for everybody. So we do have a few ground rules. They're very reasonable. Your personality, you must be easy and fun to work with. Law is serious enough. We don't need to add more stress by running advertisement. You must be willing to do what we ask of you. There's nothing unfair or weird or anything like that, but there's little things we might need to do to like hop on a call or something like that. So you must be willing to do your part. You must be willing to advertise. Obviously, marketing involves advertising to get clients. It's not the only way to do it, but if you're not willing to advertise, this program isn't going to be right for you. So if we do all this hard work to generate great business for you, we just ask that you pay us in a timely fashion. If you're getting mega results and rewards, don't string us along in accounts receivable. So those are our rules. If you're still nodding along, it sounds like something you'd be interested. The next step should be below this video. You're going to want to click the thing that says get my free customized marketing plan, which is a 60-minute phone call to help you implement these rules. And when you click that button, you'll see a form that looks like this. And it's really just a simple one-page form. Just get some basic area on your practice so we can scout your competition and look at all you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And so just imagine, as my good friend John Lennon would say, when you have the freedom to retire, work 10 hours a week, or find the clients you really love fighting for in the cases you're passionate about, and truly make a difference. So, or when you have the income to support your ideal lifestyle and truly impact your family and friends in a positive, transformational way. And that includes not just the money, but the time, really, because I know, you may be listening to this and be mega successful, but have no time to, actually share it with the people who really matter. So, you have, or if you just want to have, the kind of clients that make driving into the office in the morning worthwhile, which happens when you get to be the one having first choice. So click the button, and we can schedule a free, it should say no obligation, strategy session. Again, I want you to understand this is not a sales pitch in disguise. You'll get some ideas that'll help you right during the call, so it'll be worth your time and investment just to get some ideas that will, you can implement immediately. So we'll show you a few opportunities. You can use them right as you hang up the phone to improve your results. And if you'd like our help at the end to get results faster, we can do that. If it's not, that's cool too. Either way, the free plan, it's still worth getting. And we, if you want to know more about those options, we can explain them at the end. So click the button below, fill out the simple form, and after a few days, my assistant David, he'll reach out to you. We'll schedule a time to go over it. And it's really I just have to be able to look over your market and your competition. So it's really that easy. Thanks so much for watching. Just like, we fill up quickly. I hate for you to be left out, get stuck on a waiting list. That's not fun. So if you're interested in getting these golden rules built in your practice so you can have that life freedom you and your family deserve, then you're going to want to do this immediately and not delay. I really hope you enjoyed this webinar. I'm passionate about making this for you. So because we're short on time here, I'm going to leave a special link below so you have the chance to ask any questions if you need to. So, I know you probably have some questions or things like that. I'm going to leave that open for you to do. Otherwise, I'll see you in our meeting. And thanks so much for watching this and sticking out to the end, because, that's what the most successful lawyers do more than anything, is they're willing to learn. So it was my pleasure to serve you in this way, and may the force be with you. Frankie, over and out.